Hello, hello. It is Sunday and I woke up and I feel different. I feel really good. Last night I posted my very first video to YouTube and it gave me purpose. I woke up and I was excited to see if anyone saw it and if I had any comments. And, it's a slow build, but that's totally okay. I feel like that's, what I'm going to have to go through. So I'm going to keep posting, and hopefully some of this information helps someone out there. And that's the whole point, is that we're at a time where the earth is shifting, lots of cosmic happenings are occurring, and there's a lot of confusion out there. And part of why I initially, not initially, but recently have really been called to discuss what I've been through is because I was talking to some friends and they were like, I just don't know what to do. I feel confused. I feel stuck. And man, have I been there. And it's a strange feeling when you kind of feel trapped within your own confusion. And that sounds kind of silly, but that's the feeling. It's like you feel confused that you're confused. Like you should be able to figure it out, and I'm just here to soothe you into knowing that you don't always have to figure everything out. And I am really guilty of trying to really get to the bottom of things. I'm a natural seeker, and that means that I am in constant, what's it called? Constant detective mode. Detective gadget at your service right here. If I had go-go gadget arms, then my life would be complete. Anyways, I am here to talk about further. Last night, I kind of went on a tangent and just like threw out 45 minutes of just who I am and what I've been through and all these things. So today I'm going to hone it in. We are through eclipse season. We are into the Lionsgate portal. There is plenty of really good information out there from people that are pros. I don't consider myself an astrology pro. So again, in the description, I will try to put some names and some resources for you to explore further. Today's supposed to be a big day because with the new moon last night and the solar eclipse, what was it? Yeah, with the eclipse, yeah, I feel like things are being lightened up. And I also know that my intention was to kind of kickstart myself. And since I did that last night, it's given me some life. It is giving me some fuel. And to keep doing it again in hopes that it helps someone. So here's a list of physical symptoms and sensations that I have experienced recently. Now, over my entire Ascension experience process, I've had some real weird things, but these are pretty strange in themselves. So I'm just going to list them off and kind of explain. Physically, sinus pressure. Sinus pressure has a lot to do with your psychic channels being either stuck or cleared out. So I feel like this is a lot of layers of clearing that's happening. I've been waking up with achy, dry eyes, and not in a superficial way. It's like it's almost like a sinus headache behind your eyes where they feel sore, like a muscle that you've worked too hard. With that, frontal head pressure being just, a sinus headache bordering on migraine feeling. Crown tingles, very strange crown tingles, like in the back upper portion of my skull, and a lot of goosebumps, which we're now calling truth bumps, every time I get a confirmation that I'm in alignment. And this isn't random. It's something that's said or something that's heard. I will get it from the bottom up, and it just comes all the way up, and I get goosebumps all over my body. There's a sensation that I like to call filling brain space. And it is like, it feels like you can pinpoint an area in your head that is being rewired in a way. Sometimes it's painful and it feels like electrical pulses. Sometimes it just literally feels like a balloon is blowing up. Basically, it probably is a rewiring of, your neural connections. Oh, sorry, guys. Just reset that up again. Yeah, so ear ringing, lots of ear ringing, very heavy in my left ear. I feel like that is your receiving side, so it would make a lot of sense that I have more messages come through on the left side. I also have more intense energies come through my left hand, which is my receiving hand. Recently, old injuries have been highlighted in an arthritic manner. So anything that I've experienced over my lifetime that has kind of been an ongoing ailment, even if it's small, I've had pretty much like trouble with my thumb joint at the wrist. I've had a dislocated shoulder. I've been in multiple car accidents and I've had neck pain. And these are all kind of resurfacing, and they resurface enough so that it bothers me and it draws attention to it. And then they kind of just go away. And then maybe a few days later, they come back. And I really feel like, again, this is just continuing the purge of layers and layers and layers of compounded emotions and trapped emotions that are creating physical sensations. Let's see. So I've had this thing with expanded air intake where I feel like I'm able to physically expand my lungs further, and there's an easefulness to my breath, especially when I awake in the morning. I usually stretch in bed. Oh, I'm stretching right now, and if you haven't today, do it. It feels so good. Just lift your hands over your head and extend your chest. And if you yawn, if you yawn, that usually indicates that you're doing some really good cellular releasing. When I do psychic work with people or energetic work like Reiki with people, often they will have the experience of yawning, or I'll have the experience of yawning. It means that the energy is moving and that you're releasing it. It's great. So do it, do it, do it. Okay, looking back at the list. Systemic moving pain. It's slightly related to the old injuries, but sometimes, I said in my first video, I'll have like right shoulder pain, and then the next day I'll have left shoulder pain, or right hip pain and then left hip pain, and it kind of travels all around your body, and it's not something to be concerned about. Basically, it's the balancing of energy as these shifts occur. And so it can be uncomfortable or irritating, but that's really it. I wouldn't get too focused on if you have something that's new and then it shifts to the other day. It's just balancing, because the earth is going through so much change that we are definitely feeling the impact of that. Okay. So I had this extreme pressure near my tailbone and my root chakra and intermittent hip pain maybe 2 weeks ago, and I actually talked to a practitioner about it, And it seemed to be what she pinpointed as an implant, which I wasn't super familiar with, but it really made so much sense that I can't deny it. Whether you believe that that's the truth for you or the truth for other people, again, up to you. Take what makes sense and leave the rest. But it was causing a lot of pain near my tailbone, and I just felt like there was a lot of energy trapped, and that it was really, really deeply rooted, if you will, near my root chakra, in how safe I feel and how supported I feel in this three-dimensional worlds. I have been waking up with what I'll describe as non-sexual orgasms. I've had sacral energetic pulsing as well as actual sex organ pulsing. Again, don't really think I need to get too deep into it, but I was like, that's odd. I think it's just the energy shifting. I don't really know what to say about that right now. Okay. Extremely hot or itchy soles of feet. Oh man, one night I was in bed and it was like fire. All of a sudden, just like fire, itchy soles. And I was like, what the hell is going on? I felt like it was chemical, like someone had applied something that was just burning the soles of my feet. Pulsing hand chakras, super hot as well. A couple days ago, I woke up and it felt literally like I just had streams of energy radiating out of my hands. If I could have seen it, I would have felt like I had the Christed power of Jesus himself. It was very strange, and honestly, the chakras still feel super open. So my dogs can definitely feel it. Ruby. I was working on Ruby yesterday, and she was like, "That is too much for me, Mom." Okay, in the morning, I've been waking up and having nervousness in my stomach, and it's I wouldn't say that it's anxiety, because I associate anxiety more so with my chest, and it's like a feeling of rising panic, but nervousness in my stomach usually means that it usually means that something's trapped. It's like butterflies. So usually that feeling I can get to subside during my morning meditation, and I talk about that in my first video. I talk about my 40-day program to freeing yourself from your phone, getting better sleep, and starting meditation practice. It's great. Oscillating energy patterns, especially in my eyes. It's kind of like you see, it's balanced. So it'll be like, it's all sequences. So it'll be, let's say, on the left side of my eyes, it'll be like pulse, 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 and then on the right side, pulse, pulse, pulse. It'll be like pulse, pulse, and then it'll go back and forth, pulse, pulse, pulse. It's not always even. It kind of feels like Morse code. It feels like that's like Morse code in your freaking body, and I have been using self Reiki to balance that out. So when it pulses and it feels like one side is heavy and the other side is light, it's just a matter of intending to balance that out. And if you just hold your hands, let's say it is happening in your eyes, if you just close your eyes and you cup your hands gently and place them right over your ocular sockets, and just intend that the healing energy that naturally comes out of your hands, that it is there to just catch to catch and mirror the energy back inwards towards your body. And this is how I balance out the hemispheres of the body. You just hold it there. You'll literally be able to tap in and just feel it. You feel the pulsing, and then you'll feel your hand chakras accommodating and redirecting. And basically it just balances. Okay, spinal compression. Oh man, I have recently bought a yoga swing and I've been going upside down. Oh my god, and it's good. Oh, going upside down to invert, to release some of that compression that we experience on Earth. On Earth, we are constantly standing, sitting. There's a lot of pressure that is pushing down on us. So it's important for me, if you don't have a yoga swing or anything to hang from, maybe you can go to the park and find a monkey bar and act like a kid. Be carefully, don't fall down, crack your head open. You could also find a wall and do a handstand or a headstand against it. And if you're not used to doing headstands, watch a video on how to do it accurately. Don't just willy-nilly kick your legs up in the air. We're trying to help our bodies, not hurt them more. Let's see. Amplified cravings. And in my first video, I talked a lot about what I've been feeding myself to just kind of satiate the nutrition needs that I've been intuitively intercepting. So I've also had an aversion to food where certain things really don't resonate well. They don't sound good. And sometimes I'll just go and stand in front of my fridge and not know what I want until I look at an item and I'll taste it with my eyes. I'll taste it on the tip of my tongue and pinpoint salt. Yes, I need salt. Or natural sugar. Okay, so it'll be like, let's say truffle almonds I've been eating a lot of, and that'll resonate on the tip of my tongue. And then sometimes I will think of, like, I'll see cantaloupe and I'll think, oh, that resonates in the center of my tongue. The receptors are basically talking to me and I'm just listening, and that's kind of the flow that I go with intuitive eating. More and more symptoms. Let's see. Eye shudders, glitches, and dimension shifting. This happens a lot when I'm sitting down and I'll look up and wait. It's not a matter of my eyes adjusting. I will see pockets of energy that are containing information and density that my physical eyes can't quite process, but they do recognize that there is energy there. And so occasionally it'll happen where it'll be a patch, maybe the size of a softball, and it'll just appear and move. The shuddering, so those are kind of the glitches or the dimension shifting. The shuddering is a quicker oscillation. It's a vibration where I'll literally see I know I'm saying literally, I'm sorry, but this is hard to communicate for a newbie. I'll look at an item and it's almost that I can see the atoms that it consists of, and so they're moving so quickly and so tightly together that the item will shudder in a way. I've also had energetic shudders in my body where I thought there were mini earthquakes happening for quite a few days in a row. There weren't. I kept looking it up online. No earthquakes, just my body adapting to the new energetics around it. Crazy, right? Crazy. In the past, I've had extreme heart chakra opening, expansion, growing sensations, even what I would call as labor pains, where it was intense, quick. Well, some moms out there might disagree with me when I say quick, but intense pains that felt like my heart was being ripped open, expanded very quickly, and I would clutch my chest and be like, ow, that hurts. And I read a lot where you can just ask your guides or you can ask the universe to just take it down a notch, and I did that. I don't know if they really did, because it would still hurt and it was still pretty, let's say, traumatic. But once your heart chakra opens, man, it's a beautiful experience. And it can continue to open and close and open and close, but it opens truly like a lotus flower, where you feel the petals start to open, and then there's like a release with them opening, and then there's a feeling of pride is not the right word, but it's a feeling of peaceful expansion, and I guess it would almost be like integrity that you carry around with you once your heart chakra starts to open, and it affects your posture. I have found myself, it's a note later on, but against the spinal compression, I've found myself having different spinal erectness, and so it feels more natural for me to be standing up with my shoulders back. And part of this has been my commitment and practice to yoga and meditation. Oh gosh, sorry, it's that my phone is plugged in and whatever, it doesn't matter. So yeah, I'm having this spinal erectness, and it's great. It feels good. It keeps your heart chakra open for sure, so that you can go out in the world. And I'm going to do some videos on how to protect your energetic field, how to clear it, how to ground yourself. And because every time you step outside your door, you should be putting up some sort of protection, and not in a fearful way, but in a way that this is my space, and kind of claiming your boundaries and claiming your power before you step out. Bloated tummy has been a big common symptom that people are talking about with the eclipses and stuff. And yes, I have had a bit of that. I feel like mine has also been contributed by any sort of food that hasn't resonated with me. It's just, it processes fast. It's like it'll be almost within half an hour that I'll realize that like that didn't agree, but it does take my body a little bit of time to kick it out. So it can be maybe 6 to 8 hours, which is normal digestive, I would say, not processing time in totality, but you know, when you get food poisoning, if it usually starts between 6 to 8 hours, that's the accurate timing. Oh, gnarly belly. Oh, I don't want to talk about poop too much, but let's talk about it. I mean, I'm a woman. I don't do any of those things. Let's just say that some of the releasing that I've been doing has been emotional, and it's been visual. It's been visual in my morning trip to the bathroom. Sorry to gross you out, but at least you can't see my face, so you don't have to put a name or put a face to the pooping, right? Okay, I've had deeper resonation with auditory tones. So I did some work with someone, and that maybe an hour later, I was like, I need to listen to classical music. And it was very interesting, definitely came from my higher self. I enjoy classical music, but I don't put it on regularly. And it it felt like it just really integrated and assimilated the work that I had done. It lifted my spirit. There's a lot of research done on 440 versus 432 hertz and the frequencies of music, and how the universal that we use isn't feeding us, and it's actually disruptive to our innate patterns and frequencies. I will talk more on that when I have my lingo intact. Also, singing bowls. I have one small singing bowl that is heart chakra, and I've been using it while I clear my space. Sometimes when I smudge my house with sage, I'll follow up with Palo Santo, and then I'll just walk around with this small singing bowl, and lightly ding it or loudly ding it if I need to clear the space. And anywhere that it reverberates and it doesn't sound clean, that means that you need to send more frequency into it. And so I will do that. I'll do that in doorways. I'll do that in corners. I'll do it in places that are restorative to me. So in my bed, over my kitchen table, in my closet, things like that. Over my dogs, I do that too. Okay, onwards. Increased senses. I've been seeing colors more brightly. It's kind of amazing. I'll be drawn to a flower that I've never seen before. I will find the tiniest praying mantis in a bush of green. It's kind of like I've just honed my senses or tapped into my senses a little bit more. It's happened with aromas as well. Aromas as in I was walking in the grocery store and I smelled the strawberries probably from 20 feet away. It was pretty epic, and I feel like that's an indication that there's something in there that your body probably wants. Also with essences like lavender. I like lavender. I think everyone likes lavender, but I've had this really strong need to deeply inhale essential oils. And so I'll just put one drop in my palm and just deep breath in and out. And they work on a level that we don't always understand. Sometimes you just think, oh, this is silly. It's just, oh, it smells pretty. It's actually getting into your body and creating some shifts for you. So if you're drawn to something, eat it or use it, as in food or essences. Okay, I've had increased tactile flow in my hands. I talked about that, how they're so hot, but also just on a daily basis, I'm just feeling like they're kind of my magic tools. Kind of like I don't need a magic wand. My tools are right here. Lower back pain. For the women out there, this is that lower back pain that just feels kind of nauseating, like when your moon cycle. It's like, oh God, like soreness. You have to be a little bit tender about how you interact. Along with that, let's talk about nausea. I have had nausea associated with the eclipses, and as I'm listening to what that feeling translates into, it's basically calling for self-love. It's requesting that you just take a few moments to forgive yourself. It's almost like I'm nauseous at the sadness and disappointment of experiences throughout my life that haven't been easy to process, and now they're coming up to the surface, and all you can do is really acknowledge them and release them, and the nausea will pass. This is a very common, is that, oh, actually I just made a connection. Sometimes when you have food poisoning or something, you will take concentrated sugar, like there's a product called Emitrol, and it helps with nausea. And so I'm getting the message that just when you feel nauseous, just apply sweetness to yourself, and that's just self-care and self-love. Okay. Flu fatigue. This has been major for a lot of people. Waves of feeling like I'm dragging myself around. Waves, like being like floored all of a sudden, just like, oh God, I don't know if I can do it. I don't even know if I have the energy to get off the couch. And you kind of peel yourself up, you're achy, and you kind of go through the motions, and then again, just be knocked out by a wave. I have this with sleeping, where occasionally if I ingest something or encounter something that is doing work on really deep levels, I will pass out. And not pass out as in walking around and just fall down. I will sit down to take a little rest. I'm not a big napper. If I fall asleep hard in the middle of the day without trying to, and I will usually wake up in sweating, because my body's desperately trying to detox me from something. This can definitely be emotional. It can be mental as well. Oop, burping. God, this is so crazy. I'm really having a lot of physical sensations just from talking to you guys about this. So I really hope this information is going to resonate with you. Processing emotions through detox symptoms. This will happen sometimes when I listen to hypnosis. I will just fall asleep, and that's because the work needs to be done on an unconscious level, in my unconscious mind, subconsciously, and I can't access that when I'm awake. That's the problem with the human ego and linear constructs of thinking that are ingrained in us, is that we can't access, they say 90% of your brain space. Great. We're working on that, working on shifting that, guys. Okay. Flu fatigue, out of body, slightly off center. And this isn't like I'm walking around watching myself walking around. It just means I'm slightly to the right. And from my experience with interacting with people when they are out of body, it's usually they're 6 inches to a foot to their upper right. If that makes sense to you. So if you're standing inside your own body, it would be like I've shifted 6 inches up and about 6 inches over to my right. Lisa Transcendence Brown talks about this, where she says that there's a stage in your body ascending. I think it's when you're working on your light body, is that you feel really big and tall, and you'll look down and it'll be like, whoa, like all the way to the ground. This sensation is super cool, and it always makes me feel like my expansion is solidified. So if you have that, just enjoy it. It's kind of fun to be a giant, right? Body twitches and pulsing, electrical tapping. This is kind of the oscillating that I was talking about before. In my belief, it's the nervous system reordering itself. The twitches will be very specific places. It's not like my whole calf is twitching. It kind of feels like if I had a tiny elf, and that elf had a little reflex hammer, and it was like tap, tap, tap. And usually there will be a response, which is the coolest part. If I feel a tapping on my lower leg near my ankle, then sometimes I'll get a call and response from a tapping, let's say, near my tailbone on my back left butt cheek. It is wild, and it's just things balancing out again. I think it's super cool. Sometimes it can be irritation nation, but it's okay. Ravenous eating and heightened nutritional awareness. Okay, so when I find something that I need to eat, I talked about it in the first video, cabbage. Sometimes I would feel like I need a head of cabbage and I would just eat the whole thing, literally. Eat a whole head of cabbage, that's semi-unusual. Sometimes it'll happen with fruit. If I feel like I'm dehydrated, yes, it'll happen with water. But fruit specifically, I'll bite into a plum and it'll be so juicy that I'm like, Mr. Peepers, I have apple flying everywhere, but it's not apple, it's plum. It happened yesterday with cantaloupe. I haven't eaten cantaloupe since I grew up in my mother's house 20 years ago. She loved cantaloupe and I got real burnt out on it, and I saw it in the grocery store and I smelled it and I said, okay, I need cantaloupe. So I cut it up yesterday and I ate maybe about half of it. No, maybe not that much, because sometimes melon upsets my stomach, but it was ravenous. It was like hands grabbing chunks, slapping them into mouth, ravenous eating. That means that there's something in there nutritionally that you really need. Okay. Ability to connect my heartstrings across time and space. So this is something that comes with the open heart chakra, is that of course you can always choose to intentionally send love across time and space. So you can send it to yourself in past situations, you can send it to yourself in future situations, you can send it to your family or your lover who is across the world. You can send it to someone, this is in alignment with prayer, as you can send the highest vibes and best intentions for healing, which is super fascinating to me. We need to talk some more about that. But as far as my heartstrings, sometimes I send out these golden threads to connect with the people that I tell the universe, connect these to the people that I should be drawn to, or that should be drawn to me. Connect me with the people that need to hear the messages that are being channeled through me. And I say that in a way that it's again, not channeling through beings other than my own human experience, with the filter as a spirit being. Okay. Feeling, okay, so one thing about the heart chakra stuff, and the really waves of, energy fatigue. Whew, my little chihuahua has been a saving grace for me. She's definitely in sync with all the shifts right now, and she will come and put her little sweet head on my chest, right at my heart, and just be a little sweet battery for me. And she basically refuels me. She's soothing. It's been shown in studies that people that care about each other, even simply by holding hands with someone who, let's say, is in the hospital. I think this is Dr. Amen that with the Heart Math Institute, but correct me if I'm wrong. It's been shown that even just by holding hands, that your brain waves sync. And oh yeah, he talked about it on the podcast. So I think that how this doggy battery is working is that we are very connected. She's my spirit sis, and even though she's not human, she is having a similar experience energetically, and she can feel it. And so she comes over and just gives me love, and that unconditional love is priceless, because when you feel like complete despair has hit you, to have that unconditional energetic love exchange is really important. If you don't have a pet, maybe you should adopt one. Maybe you should rescue one. Man, my dogs have really saved my life over the years as far as feeling isolated and having another being there to connect with. Just food for thought. Okay. I'm going to get into some of the mental symptoms quickly. Occasionally, I'll find myself saying words that seem foreign. I said collective unconscious yesterday, and I tripped myself out. I was like, is that the right word? And it's because there's just a little bit of mental fog right now. There's a lot of deprogramming going on and a lot of detachment from what we've known. And so sometimes the linear way of thinking and the construct of our verbal communication seems out of whack. It's like it's not quite, either the words don't have the right resonance or the definition has shifted. Hopefully I communicated that well to you. Oh, I talked about it before. There's this I don't get it thought form. And it's really self-defeating because when you say, I just don't get it, it gives up all of your power. That's been something that I've been working through. Extreme saving the high-low versus super fast. I don't know what that says. Extreme swings. Oh, these high-low swings where I'll be like laughing and sorry again, laughing and happy, and then all of a sudden it's like the world is ending. And perhaps it is, and that's, viable. That's fine. They cycle super fast though, so it's okay. Hold on, I need some coffee. Coffee is life. I've been drinking Wicked coffee. Damn, it's good. Okay. Mental confusion, mental symptoms, random people and memories will be triggered, and it's really random. It's like, oh my God, why did you just pop into my energy field or my mind? There are a couple of reasons for this. One of them is that they could be doing work releasing you, and maybe it's an energetic cord, maybe it's an energetic connection, a psychic hook, something that's being released or changed. But mainly I believe that you're being triggered because it just needs to be brought to your conscious awareness so that you can maybe look at it from a different perspective and work through it now that there's probably been some time in between. I've been having trouble with linear tasks like reading and staying focused. Time blocking tasks seems impossible, things that I feel should be really easy and that there are plenty of blog posts about out there, how to structure your day, how to write down goals. It's so overwhelming to my mind right now that I have found myself like really struggling with information. And it's kind of a bummer on one hand because I just love information so much. I am the original Googler. I Google everything under the sun because I'm just insatiably curious. But it's actually really nice for me to have trouble with linear tasks because it requires that I practice more quantum. So, linear has constructs and lots of rigidity to it, and quantum is infinite possibilities, and that's really where we're all headed. So it's fun to play with that. Okay, so there's a feeling of being in a daze, in a bubble. This is caused by a lot of different things. For me, it's integration. It's just time when I'm integrating, and I can't really be bothered to really indulge my senses or God forbid take on the energy of people when I'm out in public. So I really feel like it's a protective bubble for me right now. I've been talking to my friend about feeling completely useless, purposeless, completely listless, like just like all the joy has been sucked out of me. And I know it's temporary. I've had these thoughts like, what am I even doing here? No one would even care if I'm gone. I really don't want to be here anymore on Earth. And it's not suicidal. There's a difference, I believe. And just to really make the disclaimer, if you are having thoughts like that, please address them in the way that you see fit. For me, it's not a human suicidal thought. It's my spirit being. We get frustrated that we signed up for this crazy nonsense. We get confused, we get mad, we feel lonely, we want to go back to where we came from, even if we don't know where that is still. And it's okay. It's not an easy feeling to process, but it is temporary. And when you start to live, more with intention, sometimes it's just time that you need to have that lull in a way, because then once you start to rediscover your joy, it's whoa, I just got goosebumps. It's epic. It's the contrast that you need. Abraham Hicks talks a lot about the contrast that life provides you so that you can pinpoint what you don't want and redirect your attention. And I feel like these extreme waves of feeling like you have no purpose is where you discover your purpose. Unfortunately, people say that you have to be taken all the way down before you can rise up. And I mean, for me, there has been some truth to that. I've had very little interest in entertainment lately, especially if I find it energetically disruptive, whether that's empty consumption, like filler bullshit TV, that's just crap. Honestly, it's not good. If you like to space out, it's because you're trying to just zone. Like basically, when you watch a show that is just junk and there's no value to it, you are succumbing to the opposite of conscious living. There's really no arguing that. Sometimes occasionally I'll watch shows like Friends because yes, there are some things that have come over the decades where you go, oh, that's not really PC, or that may not be considered appropriate any longer. But you know what? Compared to a lot of the stuff that's being produced now, I'm fine with it. It's funny. It makes me laugh. It's clever. It's light. There's no violence. There's no heaviness. There's no heaviness to it. So I've been feeling, my empty consumption is in that. I've also kind of stepped away from empty consumption, as in even just like browsing at places like Target. And, everyone loves Target, but it just feels unfulfilling. It's like, I don't need this stuff. If you do need something, or something is beautiful and pretty and it makes you happy, by all means, purchase it, bring it home, put it in your environment and love it. Do it. Okay. I've experienced extreme social irritation. Social irritation. I feel even kind of guilty saying it, and I shouldn't, but it's just like you need to be aware of the fact as you go through this process that there are a lot of people out there that haven't even dipped their toe in the water. And when people, react to you, that's simply it. They're reacting. They aren't choosing to live in conscious awareness, because it is a choice and it is a practice. And sometimes what's it called? It's like being a spiritual snob, is that you think that you've elevated above people when you always have to take yourself down back to humility. You have to be humble about your expansion, because that is the way that you're going to assist others in their own expansion, assist others in their own waking up. No one likes someone to shove their knowledge down your throat, you know? It's like, ugh, give me a break, you know? So, again, take what it's worth to you. Minimal patience, yeah, well, that goes with the social irritation. You just have to extend compassion, even when you just want to pop someone in the nose with your fist. Just relax. Just relax. Have a little bit of patience. Extend some kindness. They most likely need it. Okay, so that was a lot of information, and this is going to be a long video. But some tools that I use for all of this, of course, breathing. Breathing helps a lot. Breathing helps in the moment. Breathing helps when you have some time to ground yourself and reset. All you have to do is listen to what your body is requiring. Does it need a lot of expanded oxygen? Does it need some quick ins and outs? There are a ton of different pranayama techniques and exercises. Google it. You will find what you need, I promise. You could also do breath work. I have some suggestions for that if you're interested. Hypnosis has been huge to me. There are some references on YouTube that really have blown my mind as far as free content. Damn, there are 2 guys that are great, and a couple other people. Hypnosis can really help you detach from the physical symptoms when I feel overwhelmed with them, when I'm feeling like despair. Just do hypnosis and get into that mind space and those soothing brain waves that just allow you to escape. There's really nothing like it. And you know, crystals. So I've had these crystals here, you can see right here. I have a story about my crystals, but crystals, people don't give enough. They just don't give enough kudos to. And if you're interested about how crystals work and how they're such excellent maintainers of frequency, look at watches. The science of how watches run, and that we have quartz inside of them. If you have never looked at a clock face or a watch face, look, it says quartz right on it. So this is a quartz, and I've been sleeping with rose quartz, which is really soothing. I'll literally just hold a small one in my hand. Now this cluster is kind of jagged, and it was given to me a long time ago, and it's actually cut me. It's cut my hand quite a few times, and it's almost like a wake-up call where I'm like, hi, sweet crystal, and then it's like, and it cuts me, and I've always wondered why. Well, I kind of had to make friends with it, because they all have personalities, and yes, you can program crystals, but they have personalities in the way that I choose a different stone or gemstone or crystal for whatever I'm working with, and beyond that, I have multiple crystals, but a cluster like this is really powerful, and I always felt like it was kind of my reminder, like I just said, it's my reminder to stay present. And a couple years ago, I went through a really traumatic experience, really deeply traumatic. The law enforcement was involved, and it was just emotionally and physically upsetting. And I had this cluster, and I've always read that when they break, that they've absorbed and processed a traumatic experience for you. And lo and behold, this one broke. I'm trying to, I think it was like this. It was pretty much like that. It was one piece. So this part broke off, and I was like, wow, that's so cool. Well, yesterday I was holding it and I was thinking about a past relationship that ended in a lot of confusion that I really didn't have closure on. And it was about a year and a half ago. And what I do remember is that as I was speaking with this person, I felt my higher self kick in, and I saw and felt the like a lemniscate, so like the infinity symbol. I felt that movement pattern inside of my body, and I just remember feeling this peace wash over me and saying pretty much like they're just incapable of connecting with you because of traumatic experiences and stuff, but like they just weren't capable of it. And it gave me so much compassion to work through this with myself, because I knew the person really wouldn't be able to meet me where I wanted them to be able to discuss this relationship. So I'm holding this crystal yesterday, and it had this pointy, spiky part, and I feel like, my hand energy, I have like pen and stuff all over my hands. I feel like my energy has just become so much more active, the flow in my hands. And I was holding it, and I was like thinking about this relationship and how it was okay, and that I felt like I had processed through a lot of it. And there was this point, oh, there, it's just like that. So, and I just put my hand here, and I thought, I'm just going to push against it, and it just broke off. So again, this crystal has split twice for me to absorb the trauma of unprocessed relationships. And it's just a reminder to me, everything is energy, and there are lots of tools out there for you to utilize. This is my whole point in sharing these long-winded experiences with you, is that hopefully you find something that resonates deeply with you and it helps you on your journey. So I'm going to go enjoy my Sunday, and I wish the same to you. Thank you for joining me on Electric Expansion. Electric Expansion. I'm gonna have to start create some really bad opener for you that has like lightning bolts and stuff in it. Really drive the point home. All right. Anyways, over and out. Love to you all. Until next time.